Hello and welcome back to my channel. This rusty old naval cutlass isn't old at all. I made it myself about 6 months ago, and today I'm going to make another as a gift for a friend. Let's get it down and have a proper look at it. I should explain, I didn't make the sword and then make it look rusty. Rather than do that, I simply made it from metal that was already rusty. In fact, the whole thing's made from what would otherwise be considered trash. This rotted out steel sphere is part of a hydro-pneumatic control system for an electric domestic water pump. Here you can clearly see where I selected a reasonably decent area of the steel and cut myself the shape of the handguard. The first thing I'm going to do is try and transfer the shape of the guard to this piece of A4 paper by just pushing it against the steel so that the edges form as creases in the paper. That worked reasonably well. I think I can draw around that and cut it out. There. Now I need to make a template for the blade. To make that template, I've taped several sheets of A4 paper together and I'm going to draw round the blade. But Del, I hear you cry, why don't you just put the blade on the other piece of steel and draw around it? Well, there is a reason. The existing sword is fitted with a hilt which prevents me sliding it far enough down to accommodate the tang. By making a template, I get round that problem. Now I've got the correct length. There's the shape of the tang. I had a bit of a problem in that the lines I've drawn on this piece of rusty steel were visible to me when I wasn't grinding, but as soon as I started grinding, with the rust dust and the glare from the sparks, the lines became very difficult to see. So what I've done is to go along with a Dremel disc and make it shiny instead of black on dark brown. I've got the blade cut out. The reason I was so keen on getting exactly the same blade shape as the last one is that I really liked the last one. I was lucky enough to get it just right when it came to the way the blade flares out near the tip to lend more authority in the cut. I'd better stop congratulating myself and get on with cutting out the guard. Okay, now I need to get the worst of the paint and the rust off with a wire brush and work out where the slot will go to accommodate the tang. After an extended session with my drill powered wire brush, both the guard and the blade are a great deal shinier, but you can still see that they've been rusty. Having worked that out, I've drilled a hole at each end of the slot and I'll just join the dots with the Dremel. So that's the slot for the tang. Should we try it? By the way, you may have noticed that the slot is slightly off centre towards the bottom of your screen. That's actually deliberate, and it has to do with the way the sword sits against the wearer's left hip. Let's try it on. Good. The next thing for me to do is to bend the tail of my tadpole round so it forms the knuckle bow. And with that done, the next thing I need is an equivalent slot at the top end of the knuckle bow. I've just drilled the holes. There we go. Next comes the handle. This should do. I can see I've used it before. I've cut a couple of pieces from that piece of wood and I've marked them where I need to relieve them to accommodate the tang. That should do the trick. So that goes on there. Let's give it some shape. This is the handle I'm copying So in order to get that texture, I've drawn these lines on about every 5mm, just under 1/4 of an inch. And then I carved those lines out. The next thing I need to do is to round them off a bit more. Okay, I've sanded this a lot. I'm going to make up some stain using black paint and petrol, and I'll test it on this lolly stick. Right, that's too black, so I'll add a bit more fuel. Good, that's the sort of thing I had in mind. There. Hopefully that looks very old. It's time for me to put it all together. For the first time, the sword's all in one piece. But I have to say, I'm not very good at peening. When you see people do it on YouTube, it looks so straightforward. But whenever I do it, it comes out looking like that. But I've got a solution here. I've made a little cap, which I propose to stick over there with a bit of epoxy glue. The copy is the one on the left. It's easiest to see because it's slightly shinier when you look at it from above. Still, it's come out very, very faithful to the original. I'm pleased with that. The reason I'm pleased with it is all about the patina. I don't think I could fake this with new steel. I only know how to get this effect by using genuinely rusty old steel. I find that my gasoline and black paint wood stain actually looks better than any commercially available product I can buy when it comes to achieving that kind of worn, uneven look. And I absolutely love the look of this blade. Well, I very much hope you like the sword. The next thing for me to do is to give it to its new owner. But before I do that, I just wanted to show you that I've cut a circular handguard from my steel sphere and made myself a straight blade, to which I've welded a small section of 4mm threaded bar. Along with my round handguard, I've also got this round section handle, which slides on like this and is secured with a pommel. To make the pommel, I've cut a piece from one of these rusty window bar embellishments, drilled a hole in it and tapped that hole out to 4mm. So that threads on here like this. The naval cutlass is fairly historically accurate, but this is obviously pure fantasy, so I won't be giving this one away. I'm just going to hang it on my wall. Well, I hope I've demonstrated that you can turn old materials that other people might mistake for rubbish into something very much worth having. Thanks for watching.